Hello adventurers, and welcome back to my channel. Today I am at College of the Ozarks outside of Branson, Missouri, and we're going to be doing something a little bit special. They have a few buildings on property that allow us to kind of have a behind the scenes tour of what goes on here at Hard Work U. Now, if you're not familiar with Hard Work U, all of the students who come to college here actually are able to come to college for $0, but they work their way through college through a variety of different trades that they learn on campus. And some of the things they do here are pretty fascinating. Not only have we visited this campus before and tried out their food, but we've also been to their museum here. But there's a lot more to Hard Work U than you might be aware of. So come along with me and check it out. Today we're going to be starting off with the Edwards Mill and General Store. Look guys, they have a weaving studio upstairs, a museum downstairs, and also we can access the waterfront. We'll do all of those things in just a moment. But first we look around and we see what all we can find. There's some fabulous finds in here, guys. And again, the things that are here are unique to this space. So as we're kind of looking around, we're seeing pieces of the college come to life throughout this entire area. But in the back is where the mill is. So it's not currently up and going where they're doing demonstrations, but they do demonstrations on some days. So I'll show you what it looks like. Now picture this, guys. It comes in looking like regular corn or grain, and then they meal it down into this fine corn like powder that's almost silky. And here you can kind of see what each of the steps of the milling process might look like. But also you can see here a grinding stone, and two of the mill stones or grinding stones were approximately 15 inches thick, and they were used and almost weighed half a ton each. And the surface of these stones, you can see it has like a little pattern and texture to it, and that's what would scrape along. And as it would scrape along, it would take the corn from like a piece down to like a fine silt like we saw. So this is what it would look like. But this is what it would look like when it was in its entirety. The grain would come into a grain hopper, and then they would use this grain hopper, and it would come down into this section where the two stones were. One was called a bed stone, the other one was called a runner stone, and then they also had like a little vat where everything would kind of creep into. Now the two stones that we're actually seeing were cut in Kentucky around 1820, and they were called the Queen of the South. This is another one of those stones and what it looked like after it had been used. Of course, there's a few more of these outside also that you can see, but this one you can definitely see the wear and tear from the years, and over time it would just wear down and it would become more and more smooth, but it would take a lot to get it to that point. Now this particular operation looked like this. So you can see it had an outer shell around it, and then it would have a built-up base where the two grindstones would sit into, or the millstones, and then again the hopper would come down from above and shoot the corn down into that area so it could just be churned around into this area right here. Now, as you can imagine, the mill was a central point of each community, and most communities couldn't thrive without one because they needed it in order to facilitate them being able to do things by getting their product to a workable state. And so it's really neat to be able to come in here and see how not only can we learn about it all these years later, but the impact that this would have had on the Ozarks just in general. So as we're continuing on, we're going to go and see that water wheel in just a minute, but there's a few more things I want to show you in here that are just really cool. Like scone mixes, grits, cornmeal, and cornbread mix from right here at the Edwards Mill. They also have signs throughout that say that things are student made, such as these wonderful looking snickerdoodle cookies. And so as you're kind of walking around, you can find student made products throughout. Now, if you are interested in picking up any of these items, you can in the Edwards Mill, or also up at the Keeter Center, they have a wide selection as well. Now, for 2 pounds of milled items, it's $9.50, but they also have some preserves and some jams, and we're gonna go look to see what they have because there's a wall of happiness just staring at me right now. Now for each jar, they're $8.95, and again, so many different options. They have sugar-free options as well. Okay, we're now going to take the elevator up so I can show you what that experience is like. We're going up to the weaving studio, and you can see nice wide entrance to make it accessible. And then we just hit the button, and here we go. Oh wow, this is cool. Very cool. Now this is nice because as soon as you come up the stairs, you get to start learning about how the weaving process works. And here you can find some wonderful visuals to kind of make it make more sense as you also are looking at the machines themselves. So, for example, this shows what this particular item would have been and each of the parts' names on it. So then again, you can take this and know that the top part here is a castle, which would be this top part over here. So it just makes it all come together. In addition, it shows you which tools that they might have used for the trade and gives the names of them as well, and gives you kind of an idea as to how they would have been used in the bigger picture of something like this. You can also see a variety of different examples of that, and then also some yarns down here as they're just in their raw form that you would find them at the store, versus what they would look like when they're stretched out onto one of these weaving looms. But the brain wrinkles just keep on going as you can learn about looms and patterns and the different kinds of things that can be created using this system. So it's pretty neat to see how visual that things are for us, so that it kind of explains it a bit more in detail for us that might be a novice or may have no knowledge. But then there's also basket weaving up here, and I think this is just so cool. I've seen this demonstrated at a variety of different crafting fairs, but it never ceases to amaze me as to how amazing and intricate the designs can be, and how a simple color change can dictate how someone identifies with something. So for example, this one has more of a patriotic pattern. This one looks a little bit more like spooky season right here. Really cool stuff. Now as we kind of look through, you can see a variety of different sizes here, all with the same premise, but you can see it's great, it's small, it's everything in between, and as you are coming in, you get to take a glimpse into this magical world, so to speak, of textiles and basket weaving. Now the best thing about this is they've actually been doing a version of this since 1937 here at Hardwork U, and it's been a part of the Ozarks, the fabric of the Ozarks, since the very inception of people living in this area. That's how they would get certain things in their homes, because they didn't have stores like we have now. They would have to make things, and so the fine handcrafted arts really made all the difference in life here in the Ozarks when they didn't have. And so it's neat to come in and just get a little glimpse of that. But there's so much more to this experience. So now we're going to go downstairs. And this time I'm going to take the stairs. 2 flights of them to be exact. So down we go. Oh, wow. This is neat down here. Now each of these stops tells us a little bit more about the equipment that we see, and this is a 12-inch burr mill, which was used from the early to mid 1800s. And in 1971, it says that the College of the Ozarks construction crew, led by Hardy Wyman, broke ground on the site that would soon be Edwards Mill. And the plans called for the main floor to demonstrate the milling and the second floor for displays, and the basement was used where the belts and gears would be. And so this is a 12-inch burr mill that dates back to the pre-Civil War time right here. Now along this wall right here, we learn about the process of getting the grain actually to the mill though. And it says it starts with a simple seed. The journey to discover the process which cornmeal was produced was started around the mid-1800s when Ozark grist mills began with farmers who planted corn. And this was an item that they might have used to plant some of that corn. Now you can see the item itself, but then you can also see a Native American farmer with a plowing setup that was very similar to this. Now they had to plow to make this soil churn up so that it would be able to have the corn. And so this was a tedious process, but it was made a little bit easier by the fact that they were able to use horses. But then we get into our second step. That's where this guy comes in. It's all about separating the corn from the cob. After the seeds were planted, the corn grew until October or November, and then it was ready to be harvested. Here again, a historic photo from the mid-1800s, as we learned that the corn itself couldn't all go into the grinding mill. It had to be separated. And so the cob and the corn had to be separated from one another. And this was done using a corn sheller. From there, it had to be cleaned. And how did they do it? There's something like this right here. Cleaning the corn was super important because then they needed to be able to use it. And the process of separating it was a pretty tedious thing where little pieces would sometimes still be in there, or dirt or grime. And so this helped them to get it ready for the actual mill so it would be workable product after it came out. And then came the grind. Now, we saw upstairs that there was a very large grinding mill, but not all of them looked like this. In fact, this was considered to be a portable mill. This portable mill actually came to use in 1855 and was originally located in Seneca, Missouri. This is where all the magic would happen, underneath the grinding area. And here you can see how things would come in and be belt driven, or how the gears would grab and turn and make it work upstairs. Now down here they also have a few displays like this one, the old web mill, and you could see how it might have had two floors where they were workable floors inside, and then it would have had a floor beneath as well. The water wheel on the outside, and you can see where all of the different pieces would have come into play. They also have a variety of different tools that would have been used around the same time as the mills themselves. Some belong to blacksmiths, others would have been used on farms, but it's pretty neat to be able to see this display down here. Again though, huge millstones, huge, massive millstones. Okay, now it's time for us to go outside and see where the magic really happens for this mill. This is the water wheel area, and as we come outside, oh, it's so pretty out here. This is nice. This is very nice. And I picked a perfect day to come out. So let's go do a little exploring, shall we? Now for this to work, water would have come down a chute like this and made its way to the wheel, where it would have flowed over and made it spin. And as it spun, it would turn those gears, which would then make the mill on the top work and do all of the hard grinding. Do you all see what I see? Look into the stone. Do you see the design? Isn't that neat? It's just built into the wall there, a nice big beautiful arrow. Oh, but wait, there's more. Right next to the mill itself, there's another fascinating building, which we're also going to go inside. If you like handcrafted items, this one is really going to resonate with you. Next up, we're going to the stained glass and candle shop. So as you can see inside, they are hard at work creating these beautiful pieces of stained glass, and some of them are larger, some of them are smaller, but you can come here and actually see them create it. But you can come here and actually ask for a custom order and kind of collaborate with them on creating something awesome. So I really like that. The other thing that I thought was just really spectacular was to really see kind of how they're soldering the edges, or how they're grinding the glass. It's such an intricate job to do, but they're doing it here every single day, and so you can come here absolutely free and check it out, and if you find something that you like, you can buy it, of course. I think that that's just really neat. Last but not least, I wanted to bring us by Patriots Park at the College of the Ozarks. This is the first thing that you come to if you take a left coming into the college itself, and this is actually built by staff and students between 2015 and 2019, and it's one of the most iconic pieces of College of the Ozarks. If you haven't figured out by now, by all the things that I've kind of shared with you, College of the Ozarks is not your typical college. It's something that instills a lot of values and honor and respect, and also takes the time to do the things that sometimes are commonly overlooked in the hustle and bustle. And so coming out here, you get to see a very unique experience, from the craftsmanship of the individual items to, if you go a little further along, the School of Agriculture has its own tractor museum where they learn to break down a tractor from zero and build it up to something that could be a hero. It also teaches service and gratitude and family, and I think that that's what's really wonderful. But they don't stop there. They also take the time to honor those who have served our country, and wow, are they doing it right. I'm gonna leave you with this portion where I just kind of give you a view of what has been created here, and I think that that'll speak to the bigger picture of why you guys should be coming out to College of the Ozarks. It's absolutely free just to come out here and check it out, and I highly recommend it. It is one of those places that after you've been here, it will make you think a little bit different about the up-and-coming youth of today, because the kids of today are doing some amazing things. With that, remember guys, we're not here for a long time, but we are here for a good time. Enjoy this view of Patriots Park.